I didn't want to make this video. I didn't want to talk about this, but I think if I didn't, it's going to keep harassing me, or not harassing me, but it's going to keep circling in my mind. So as you guys know, because I mentioned before, I've been like researching and following this coronavirus thing. And I don't know what it is about it, because normally I don't really watch the news, and normally I don't really pay much attention to different diseases or other things like that that are circulating. You know, when they had like the H1N1 and the SARS and MERS, I didn't really pay any attention to them. But for some reason, this particular virus has really caught my attention, and I can just feel in my spirit that there's something different about it. And I have put on my tinfoil hat, as they say, and even read into the conspiracy theories and the different things. But if you just watch, there's a couple people on YouTube that I've been watching. One is Dr. John Campbell, and he has some really good information about it, and some really like non-panic type information. But I've had 2 dreams about this now, and part of that might just be because I've been obsessed with it. The first dream was actually the night after the World Health Organization or the CDC or whoever just announced that this was going on in China. And that dream was very scary. And I wasn't scared while I was having the dream. I was scared after I woke up. And yeah, I didn't want to look like some kind of weirdo. So I didn't really explain what the dream was, but I will tell you the 2 dreams, and then you can take from it what you want. And, some people think that dreams are just really not important or whatever, but sometimes we can see things or be told things in our dreams that we weren't necessarily available to be told. And for me, when I'm saying being told, I'm talking about, God is showing me something. The Holy Spirit wants me to see something, and perhaps during my waking time, I was not quiet enough or still enough to hear it. So I feel like sometimes He sends me dreams to tell me things. So anyway, first dream, my friend and I were going into town to find supplies. And in my dream, I knew kind of that civilization had fallen apart. And this sounds very like a movie or very out there, but I'll just, I had known that civilization had fallen apart. So we pulled into town, and there was no one anywhere. And it was almost like the wilderness had kind of taken over. So like plants were growing, things weren't being trimmed, as if, town had been neglected for a while. And there was kind of steam coming out of different places, like, things were breaking down. So we were just getting out of our vehicle and looking for supplies. And then we were having a good time. It's kind of funny. We were kind of laughing and joking around, and but then these people started running towards us, and they were wearing, the medical masks like they are in China, which might be just from me watching the news and things. But I had an awareness that we needed to get away from these people. So we ran back to our vehicle, got into it, locked the doors, and then I woke up. And in the dream, I was not afraid of these people, but as soon as I woke up, I had this fear that came over me about this virus, and is that how it's going to be? Are things going to get really bad? The second dream that I had about it was in my home. I was in my home, and I knew that in this dream, I knew that the virus had already passed through our country, and a lot of children were orphaned. And I don't know if that's happening around the world where the virus is very virulent, but I ended up getting, kind of adopting a few of my son's friends who are teenagers because their parents didn't make it. So I don't want to say anything about whether these dreams are like predicting or that I know something that's going to happen, but there is something different about this virus. And I don't I didn't want to talk about it because, I don't want to like induce fear or panic or look like some weirdo. But I think right now, this week, it's time to get prepared a little bit because even if, um, you know, we have a good medical system in the United States, so I'm not worried that we're going to have huge amounts of fatalities or anything like that. But I do think the virus is coming. I think that a lot of us are going to get sick. I think, if they go through the kind of measures that they're doing overseas with quarantine and isolation and things like that, and also our supply chain is going to be cut off because, the United States receives a lot of its things from China, from Asian countries, and they right now they aren't manufacturing. Their factories have been shut down. Shipping is shut down. And I don't know, I don't think anyone knows how long that's going to take. So I think that it is time right now. Go buy some extra food. Buy some supplies for a few weeks, a month. Worst case scenario, you're going to need it because you're going to be stuck at home or supplies are going to be low. And best case scenario, everything continues as usual, everything is fine, and you use those supplies and food later. I know in, Christian circles and different people will be like, don't worry, God will take care of you. You don't need to, you know, you don't need to prepare anything or have fear. I don't have any fear. But just like, I kind of thought about it this way. I did buy some extra food, stock up. We do have, I hear that there's people that only have enough food for a few days in their house. And that isn't the case for us. We have a lot of meat always just because of the way that we live. We have a lot of food in our freezers. I think when you live in a rural area, it's kind of that way because, running to town isn't something that you do all the time. And yeah, anyway, I would not, I guess my thought in getting prepared for a possible quarantine or isolation or a situation where you wouldn't want to go into town or wouldn't want to go be around people because lots of people are sick. My thoughts on preparing for that, it's like this. Just like I would not jump off a cliff to my certain death, screaming, Jesus, save me. I want to be prepared for things like this and at least have a plan so that I know if this happens, then we do this. Because we are to trust God, we're not to worry, but at the same time, yeah, I wouldn't jump off a cliff knowing I was going to die at the bottom screaming Jesus save me to test that. So I'm also covering my family and everyone I know and you guys with prayer of protection and prayer over no fear. And there is something different about this virus. I hope I'm wrong. I'm hoping that, the things that I'm sensing in my spirit and the things that I'm hearing are wrong. I hope it just kind of passes through like a bad cold and that's the end of it. But in the meantime, I'm getting prepared for what might happen. So be watchful, get your heart right with God over this, pray that Psalm 91 over your family, over yourself. I did do that video about that if you want to go back and watch it. And but anyway, yeah, here's the weirdness of joy today and my worry over this virus and do your own research, of course, and be safe, be healthy, live in love out of the way you were created.